Good morning. I'm Brian Dwyer. I'm the founder and CEO of InteractOne. We're out of Cincinnati. We've been building and helping clients market high-end e-commerce sites for over 20 years. Over the years, there's been a handful of national names that we've worked with that you're familiar with. Chevrolet, Johnson & Johnson, Better Homes and Gardens, Tyco, and mattress discounters. But our core business are a lot of manufacturers and distributors that you may have never heard of. Most are currently generating between $3 million and $100 million of online sales. Now, over our many years, I've taken a lot of calls from prospects and customers who are very frustrated about how to grow their online businesses. And sometimes the problems are about pricing or how they are marketing their site, but quite frankly, in most instances, it comes down to people problems. Who is behind your e-commerce initiative, the staff supporting you and helping you ensure that you grow? And the number one issue when it comes to people and understanding the dynamics of the depth of the staff that you need to make your e-commerce website succeed. The most common mistake when beginning their e-commerce website is that they've decided to let the IT manager handle it. Why? Well, because she knows something about computers, and that's way more than anybody else around here. And that's a big mistake. It's analogous to, hey doctor, I understand that you're a pediatrician, but I have a brain tumor, and I know you know something about medicine, so I'm going to let you perform my brain surgery. It's the same kind of logic. So understanding the technical, creative, marketing, and operational management of an e-commerce website is far removed from understanding how your network and computers work. It's just the wrong person for that job. So we're going to talk about various jobs and skill sets it requires to grow and maintain your site, and equally important, about when you need to add those people. So let's start this discussion with an understanding of how you got here in the first place. So unlike Field of Dreams, this is not build it and they will come. A lot of businesses struggle to understand the need for an e-commerce site, and some excuses are justified, but most are just really bad understanding of the marketplace. My favorite, well, we've always done it this way, and that's a precursor to the business's untimely death. The e-commerce site is going to open new markets for you. It's going to open new channels of distribution, new opportunities. But like deciding to hire a new salesperson or opening up a new branch, the website initiative mandates investment. Now, if you think you can do this for almost free, that's an exercise in self-deception. And making this work absolutely positively requires buy-in from everyone in the C-suite. Now, in the C-suite, if they don't get it, you need to get on board and make sure that they can learn everything about e-commerce. You're going to be faced with a lot of issues and challenges, many of which will end up on your desk to decide. And if you're clueless and push the decision down, this will fail. And that starts at the top. The CTO needs to understand the website infrastructure and how, if needed, it needs and should be integrated with your other legacy systems. The CMO needs to understand how this technology is going to change the message and its implication in generating sales. The CFO, beyond managing the investment, may now have to do things like credit card processing and managing new cost structures. The COO, redefining the supply chain, fulfillment, and customer service for just the e-commerce side. So embrace the reality that there will be conflicts in assigning functional responsibilities to the C-suite. If the C-suite isn't together, though, on this initiative, you're going to fail. And collectively, you're going to hire a head of e-commerce. The absolute pinnacle of your e-commerce initiative success is this hire. From what we've seen among our clients, this is the linchpin. This is what differentiates your success or your failure. The head of e-commerce is your e-commerce general manager with P&L responsibilities. Merchants need to understand that the person ultimately in charge has to totally and fluently understand all aspects of e-commerce, from how and when you make money doing this, to the administrative and technical aspects of the site, to merchandising and marketing. This is far and away the most important skill set. If whoever you hire to do this job doesn't get it, you're doomed, because your ability to hire anyone else, whether it's a programmer or it's a marketer, falls secondary to that role. Why? Well, it's because of this reality: perception and communication. The head of e-commerce is like a symphony conductor, needing to ensure everyone's on the same page, playing the same music. The proverbial, the buck stops here. Because they have vast experience and have built brands online, they get it. And if they don't get it, then you just hired the wrong person. Leadership. Leadership of people, leadership of understanding the technology, leadership in digital marketing, because that's what drives the traffic and the sales, all falling on the head of e-commerce shoulders. Now, I've witnessed smaller online merchants hiring a head of e-commerce from large merchants, guys doing $200–300 million of online sales. That's a big, big mistake. First, it's outrageously expensive, but they look good, but rarely, if ever, have these people are the ones that actually take it up to that level. Their experience is all around existing large online properties with very large budgets, and commonly they're in place before they got there. So the details of building the ideal team look kind of like this. Everyone has a slightly different model of how they're going to achieve success, but in the end of the day, it comes down to mastering really 3 disciplines: traffic, conversion, and retention. Traffic, that means getting prospects to your site. That involves marketing, merchandising, content, and technology. Conversion, that means turning those prospects into sales. Again, that's marketing, merchandising, creative, and technology. And retention, that means keeping those customers coming back to your website. So when starting out, it's generally a couple, 3 people. There's a lot to get done, and there's just not enough hours. They're going to be pulled 15 different ways. But as the business grows, so does your team. So the order of your hires, well, as previously defined, you start with the head of e-commerce, who will turn and bring in the technologist and a marketer. From there, it really depends upon your business model and priorities. For instance, your third hire might be a channel manager, someone taking care of Amazon and eBay. Or it may be a supply chain manager handling the shipping and the fulfillment and procurement and the warehouse. So by the time you're reaching 10 million in online sales, you're at 5 people, and that will triple by the time your online sales double to 20 million. By the $50 million sales level, you have a full team of specialists, and you're ready to scale. Now, along the way, you're most likely going to outsource to supplement missing or underutilized skill sets of the staff. Most merchants turn to digital agencies because they have the depth of the experience and have the people that have been there, done that, and they have that know-how. So regardless of when, you will need highly trained specialists that have strong track records of proven results and know what they're doing. You know, in the early days, it's not the place for on-the-job training, because the inevitable mistakes will be pulling serious money out of your pockets, and equally important, causing you to back up and have to do things again, meaning you're going to lose prospects, and you're going to lose customers, and you're going to lose sales. Now, keep in mind that as you do this, you got to stay the mission. You don't have a business without people coming to visit your site. That's job number 1. You won't get them there or keep them there without phenomenal content. If you go cheap, you're going to pay for it. The more you can turn into a sale, the higher the sales of the total site. So that's conversion. And remember that mobile is going to be 60 to 80% of your visitors. A little less with the B2B site, but regardless, mobile is critical, and you've got to build your website with that in mind. Social creates the buzz, and it's vital to generate reviews and people posting stuff about your site. Don't ignore it. Don't pretend it doesn't exist. And this is in no particular order, either by discipline or specialization. It's just a guide to who you eventually need to hire. So someone heading technology, and in the early days, this one person may provide all the functionality. It doesn't mean they're going to do it well, and no one person can do it all. But you have to start somewhere. They will obviously have a lot of experience with e-com technology, and perhaps as a mandate that you need to set, has specific experience with the platform you're using. More commonly, this person has rock solid programming experience, because you're going to want a lot of customizations between the front end and the back end. Front end and back end. So let me explain that for a minute. Front end is what the viewer sees. It's how the website looks and functions. The back end are various systems that the e-commerce platform will integrate with. Your ERP, your CRM, your warehouse management system, and lots of other acronyms. Now, rarely, and I mean very rarely, will you find a single person that is a solid back end and front end person. They generally gravitate to one or the other. The great lie is they tell you they can do both. They cannot. And they will struggle trying to do that. So, but again, as the business grows, you're going to hire specialists that do both back end and front end. And like your technologist, the marketing person is a jack of all trades, master of none. Pick any two of these functions, and that's a maybe. All of them, like, never happens. But they need to know enough to dabble and get you growing. Again, depending upon the business, the advertising, email marketing, analytics are your core competencies for marketing. Remember that your key marketing person is the keeper of your investment. They must decide how to acquire new customers. For instance, they can offer a discount, which means they're going to give up margin, free shipping, or purchasing traffic via paid advertising. Each comes with a cost that must be weighed against the customer's total lifetime value. You know, is it okay to spend $100 in marketing for a customer who has a lifetime value of $200? Well, probably not, but if they have a lifetime value of $3,000, so it depends. I also want to take note of the brand manager position. This is your chief emotions officer, protecting your site to ensure it's always conveying the right image, however you define that. Now, that means we're going way beyond just the logo and site colors here. They know best how to position your store so that it evokes the right emotions, you know, just regardless of the channel. Now, don't confuse analytics with business analyst. Analytics live and die by the numbers the site generates. Who's visiting the site, how often, how long do they stay, what are they buying, those types of critical numbers. Analytics will also crunch the numbers of the A/B testing, which is just a critical element of the site's success. Now, the business analysts will look into those numbers, but they're predominantly generate strategy. These roles are typically filled by senior level, highly experienced industry veterans. Okay, creative, why? Why is this important? Well, here's why. It's the UX UI. You know, that means user experience and user interface. User experience, that means, am I able to find what I want quickly? Am I able to order quickly? There was a cognitive scientist in the 90s that created this term, and he defined it as user experiences encompass all aspects of the end user's interaction with the company, its service, and its products. So the UX role is complicated, it's challenging, it's part marketing, part design, and part project manager. The user interface, think of that in regards to how the site is technically implemented. In general, the better the UX, the faster the site works. So why do you care? Well, that's because there's two ultimate game changers, Google and your customer. Google, because among the metrics they use in determine search engine rankings, who's number 1 and who's number 800, is often by how fast your website works and how many people come to see it. So the preferred site, and Google wants to satisfy their viewers, right? And so Google will list your site higher when prospects search the internet looking for your products. Your customers, because if you make the experience enjoyable and easy, they'll buy more. And when they buy more often, that's why creative is a core competency. But none of this is relevant if you don't have the right mix of product and provide information on the product, and that's what merchandising is all about. Like anyone selling something, you're dead in the water if you're selling, what you're selling is of no interest to the marketplace, right? Duh. So you're beyond product mix. It's now how you present it, and that's catalog management. Have you ever gone searching for something and you get sent to a website where there's like a photo of an item, and it's a stock photo at that, and no price? So yeah, and just don't you love it when there's no price? So it's very frustrating, and indeed, your reaction is, well, I think I'll go look at another site. Row. So studies after studies after studies have shown that the information you provide on your products, the more you sell. There can never be too much. Now, of course, there's cost considerations. It may be hard to justify making a demonstration video on a low-selling item, understandably. But let me share with you a real situation. We have a B2B client that launched their site, and within a couple of years went from nothing to 5 million in sales. But they got stuck, and moving the needle became more of a challenge. And they finally accepted our recommendation, and every item got photographed with multiple photos, yielding a very standardized look. We also hired an army of writers, mostly college kids from the University of Cincinnati and Xavier University, to assemble detailed product information. It took 9 months to build it out, but then we watched the sales grow from $5 million to $63 million in sales over a 4-year period. That's the power of merchandising. Now, all this work is great in generating traffic and converting the traffic into sales, and it goes for naught if you don't get the product into the hands of your customer. And that's what operations is about. Amazon was the game changer, right? That damn 2-day delivery thing. And that redefined the industry. So it's pretty much the standard now, and that's the challenge. Getting the product into your customer's hands as quickly and for as little cost for you as possible. Those sites where it takes 7 to 10 days to get you the product that you just ordered, that's not a good user experience. Now, the other key roles of ops are returns. Now, for many customers, how quickly you process the credit will determine whether or not they ever do business with you again. So take 3 weeks, again, a bad user experience. Now, related to that are third-party channels, the marketplaces, again, Walmart, eBay, Amazon, and just having someone manage that aspect of your business. If you're selling through the marketplaces today, you've learned it's not as easy as they told you it would be. They want you today to participate in many of their add-on programs to help you sell more, and that can become expensive. So the benefit of having an experienced channel manager is to guide you through that, managing all the aspects of the online business. So who do you look for? I found sticking to these tenets work really well. Hire someone outside your company culture, and you just shot yourself in the foot. Don't do it. It will be disruptive, and it will cost you a bunch of money. Don't do it. This is a very fast-moving culture in business. The team must be great communicators to ensure they're all on the same page. The need-to-know basis doesn't work in this environment, and don't expect it. If they can't roll with the punches, they're not your kind of guy. This industry is about as close to a roller coaster as you can get. They need or want to learn everything in the world. They are the kind of person that self-initiates learning because they love to do it. They want to learn more about what's going on with the technology. They want to know more about what's going on with marketing tactics. They want to know more about what's going on with your business and the industry. Their perception, the more they know, the easier things among the things that we just discussed. And if they don't love the numbers, they're the wrong business. This entirely industry is run by the numbers. Google and Amazon are exclusively run by the numbers. They A/B test all day long, 24/65 is the norm. This is that. If the numbers bother them, they need to go find another career. So how do you get underway? Think of it this way. Understand your head of commerce's weakness and hire from there. So if you have a great technologies, then hire a marketer. Or if you need to start building content, hire a guy to do that. So there's lots of it depends. In the same vein, if your head of e-com is very creative, then hire a left-brain person and try to balance them. Perhaps the most practical way is just hire as needed, but I strongly advocate ensure they have a multi-role capability, especially in the early days when creating the job, it will mandate they're assuming multiple duties. So as you can see, there's lots of it depends here. Sometimes we forget that this e-commerce thing is still in its early days, which means there isn't a lot of literature and teaching available on best practices. So it's okay if you are in fact helping to create best practices. Experiment and fail, that's okay. I can't reiterate when hiring to be careful because there's a ton of BS out there. Candidates in our industry tend to exaggerate all the time. And they get away with it because the people hiring are generally clueless. So verify, depending on what they are, some of their sites that offer for testing for the skill set, but more importantly, there's no replacement for making the candidate prove to you their skill set and what their experience really is. And regardless of who you hire and how highly qualified they are, you will need to spend a lot of time teaching them about your business and how things work for you. The idea of just dropping them in the deep end of the pool, that's just not going to work for you. We've not touched on a lot of customer service issues, but because they are your front face to the customer, they are your lifeblood. Acknowledge the reality that the customer's experience with your customer service people will most likely end up on social media. A review, Twitter, Instagram. I've seen many a client fight the ghost of reviews past and spending a bunch of time and money correcting those errors in the early days. Embrace social media and train your staff to act accordingly. It's a significant component of your online success. And finally, the internet is a global experience. Many of you are already selling into Canada and Mexico, but with that decision to sell online globally comes a lot of complexities such as customer service and foreign currencies and logistics and translating all your content. You're not reinventing the wheel here though. This has been done all the time by a million different companies. But you want to reach out to chat with somebody that's been there, done that, so you have a better understanding of what you're about to walk into. So there we go. There's your team.